Hello and good day. ShawnJ here, and welcome to Underneath the Shade Tree. On today's episode, I'm pleased to be chatting with the wonderful Sheila Snowden as she shares how making the commitment to sobriety not only changed her life, but that of her family, surviving the loss of a beloved spouse, and cherishing the joy she gets surrounded by those she loves. So grab yourself a beverage or a snack and join us underneath the shade tree. Hello, darling.
Hey.
Welcome. Welcome to this episode of Underneath the Shade Tree with ShawnJ. Today, my guest is Miss Sheila. How you doing, Miss Sheila?
I'm doing fine, ShawnJ. How are you?
I am well. I cannot complain. And if I
Good.
did, nobody would listen.
Yes, they would.
So yes. So how do you identify?
A Black woman, probably assertive. That's what they say. I'm everybody's mother, even yours. So, that's how it is. I become the mother.
Surrogate mama. And where are you originally from?
I was born in Seattle, Washington.
Where you are currently now?
Yes, so I'm a native.
Yes.
Very few Blacks were born here, but my parents migrated from the South.
Okay.
Where in the South? My mother's from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My dad's from Shreveport, Louisiana. He had joined the Army and had an opportunity to come here and work in Bellevue. Not Bellevue, I'm sorry, Bremerton, Washington. He was on a ship, and he was a chef. And so he met my mom when he was traveling down south in Arkansas, and came back and asked her if she would like to join him. And so he brought her to Washington State. And that's where four of us. There's four of us in the family. I have a twin. Okay. I'm the oldest by 8 minutes. I have an older sister and one younger brother. Okay. So that's how it started. Started right here in Washington, Seattle, Washington. I was born actually here. Yep.
Nice. And what would you say is your line of work? Are you retired or?
I wish I was, ShawnJ, but not yet. Actually, it'll be December 31st, 2021. I'm finally giving it up. I've been in human resources over 30 years. So I've seen it all, the transformation of human resources, and I'm actually tired. My specialty is employee relations. Okay. I'm tired of hearing about people's problems. I'm tired. It's time for me to retire. So I love it. I mean, I really, really do. Probably could continue on, but I want to travel. Okay. I want to retire, do things around the house. If I have to do a little work, I might go back and pick up my license, which I was an HR consultant. So I probably will do that and work when I want to work.
Oh, the dream. The dream. What is a favorite thing for you to do?
Family. Family is really important to me. I think when I was brought up, we were a close-knit family, and now that I'm a grandmother, family is number one for me.
How do you all spend time?
Actually, Kelly calls me about 20 times a day, the oldest one. We share movies, we share TV shows like First Sight. So we enjoy that, and we go back and forth with the couples, who's going to stay married. She's the oldest, and then I have Rhonda, and she's the one that's got all the grandkids, 3. And so I really enjoy my girls, and I enjoy my grandkids. And every Sunday, it's Grandma Day over here for dinner. Every Sunday. Nice. Mass and all. They just do not stay away. So every Sunday, Grandma cook. It's a nice tradition. When I don't cook or they don't come over, the grandkids are upset. So usually what I do is cook a meal for them, and then I'll drive it on the way over, so they can have their Sunday dinner. But usually it's every Sunday here. We congregate. I think the grandkids like it more because they don't, I don't allow cell phones at the table. It's family time. We talk. We just have fun for dinner. And then after dinner, if they want to use their cell phone, no problem. When they come in that door, that cell phone go in the basket. Nope, no cell phone.
Nice structure.
Yeah. I
Very
started a long time ago, when they started. Well, the oldest, the 18 actually on Tuesday. And he had a tendency to always be on the phone, be on the phone. I mean, and I couldn't get his attention, and I kept saying, put your phone down. And so finally I just said, look, this happened about, I think when he was about 14. And I just said, I'm done. I'm done. I mean, I bring you guys come over here and we need to have time to talk and just have fun.
Yeah.
Now that they got older, we used to play games when they're younger, but now they're older. So now when they eat dinner, it's no problem. They pick up their phone after dinner. I don't have any problem. Then when they go out the door, they always get a treat. So
that's nice. That opens up communication. So like at the table during dinner, at least there's conversation as opposed to looking down at your phone. Or
yes.
So that's a very good tradition.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun because if they're talking sports, because the oldest he's in basketball and his last year. And so, it's kind of a competition between him and his brother. And they sit actually at the bar. And so they have their seats there. And I'm sitting in Leo's seat, as I said, the youngest one. And then the middle, no, I take that back. The lower seat is Pablo because he stands 6'11". Then we have Leo. And he is, how old is he? He's 13. So he sit in the middle. And then we have Mia on the other end, and she's 16. So those three sit and they, and then the parents sit at the table. Kelly and I sit at the table with the parents. So we have fun because we talk about sports or, they might tease each other and then we all join in, and then one might get mad, want to get up. No, sit down. It was only a joke, So we really have fun. And I'm hoping that I was looking at a couple of things, and I'm hoping as I get older and that one of the girls will take this over because it originated from mom. Her mother, my mother was dinner on Sundays, dinner here for me, and now I'm hoping that one of the girls pick it up later if they know how to cook.
Well, if they're your daughter, I would think they do.
No. I actually have created a cookbook with all the favorites in there so that they can go to it. But right now they said no. But I have a cookbook ready, ShawnJ. It's ready.
Good. That's good.
I add recipes. Yeah.
You've laid the groundwork.
I'm hoping that they carry the groundwork. Now Mia's starting to pick up though. Mia, the granddaughter, the only granddaughter I had, she is starting to watch grandma pick up. So she kind of helps me if I go get her early, say, hey, you want to come over and cook with grandma? So she kind of watches what I put in. So now she's starting to cook.
Okay.
So she may be the cook. She may be the one.
And them boys can learn how to cook too.
Oh, Lord, no. Paula said he's going to get him a chef.
Wow. Yeah, make that chef kind of money. And yeah.
Well, he's destined for MBA. So he's decided that's what he's going to do.
Good. Yeah. So how do we know each other?
I met ShawnJ through my daughter Kelly when you both used to work for Casey. And so Kelly would talk a lot about ShawnJ. I mean, you would have her in stitches. Things that went on at work, coming home and sharing you guys' conversation, And then I'm not quite sure. I think we met before we went on the cruise a couple of times. I don't remember, but the main thing is meeting you on my 65th cruise, my birthday party.
I didn't go to that.
Remember that?
I didn't go on that.
No, you went on the other. No, you didn't go on the cruise. Where did we go? We went
to the Bahamas together for me, Kelly's, and two others' 50th.
Oh, their 50th, but that's right. It was you guys, Kelly's 50th? No, yeah. So Kelly's 50th, I've been on so many dang cruises. Hell, I can't keep up anymore. So the Bahamas.
Yes.
And I think that's when I really got to know you, ShawnJ. We just had such a good time. Remember the night conversations?
Yes.
Remember the group conversation that night? Overlooking the water. It was just so wonderful. And then of course the dances. Remember? We made our own fun.
Yeah.
As you remember.
I do. I think for me, that's what I love about connecting with folks are those moments in which it's just quiet and still, and you just get to talk.
Yeah.
You get to like open up and just share of yourself. And on that trip, there were several conversations, but there was one between Rhonda and my friend Victor, and everyone else had gone off to bed, and we were off on the veranda or something, and we were talking about. And they got it. Not, I wouldn't say heated discussion, but it was a very heavy discussion, and they each had their own opinion, and I was like moderator, and it was just so nice because they hadn't met each other, and what I love about civil discourse is what they were both disagreeing with each other, but they weren't angry at each other.
Right,
Like
right,
they were talking about a topic that was important to each of them, and they were hearing one another without no one getting their feelings hurt. And it was like that's what I really love about the people in my circle is that we can disagree and still be friends with
right,
depending on what it is, of course. Like
right, right,
if I disagree with someone hurting you, that's a totally different thing. But this
right.
wasn't anything like that. So I was like, yes, yes, I love it. I love it. Love
I
it.
think
Love it.
raising my girls, I raised my girls to be open, and to share and to talk and to communicate, and to listen to people's opinion. You may, like you said, you may not agree, but sometime later on, that conversation come back when you're in a situation you need
Yep.
that history of what happened. And so I tell my girls all the time, you know, get over it. Let it out, get it over with, and just move on. Life is too short.
Too short.
I was telling them now that I'm getting up age, I can remember my mom, things she's done, and I was going like, dang, mom, like going to bed early. Now I go to bed early. It's like, what? I mean, I used to party all the time. Now I tell my girls, I said, God, if I don't get into bed by 8:30, I'm tired. They're going like, what? I can remember them saying long time. I remember talking to them when they were little. And my dad used to call every morning, every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. And I used to say to him, Dad, why you call me so early? I'm tired. This is Saturday. I'll talk to you later. No, I just wanted to see how you're doing. I'm fine. I'll call you later. Now, ShawnJ, I call Rhonda Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. I was telling my sister, I said, isn't that weird? I've now turned like my dad and call her, and she says the same thing. Why are you calling me so early, Mom? I said, oh, I'm at the store. Do you need anything? Because I'm up early. You
Yeah.
need anything at the store or something like that? No, I don't need anything. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, I love you. I love you too, Mom. Bye.
It's in the genes. It's in the
It's
genes.
in the genes and history, so as I said, you know, um, conversations come up, but then it turns into a generational thing, so people pick up habits, and I'm hoping my girls pick up good habits. Um, One they are very good at is talking to people. They don't shy away. We have an open house here. We have multi generations. We have racial generations in this house. We don't discriminate of anybody that walks through my door. Um, my family is made up of a whole bunch of different people, different cultures, different sexes, different transgender. I mean, mine's is open. Now, some of my family members, sisters and brothers may not like that, but I'm not. I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
I am who I am.
Yeah. And the good thing is you model that behavior so you have this ripple effect that your daughter's children will all have that same perspective, which is what I think the world needs more of. It's just this openness and this willingness to be, just let folks be. And that's the biggest thing. Just let folks be.
Right. I mean, as you well know, my grandkids are two races. They're Italian American and they're Black American. They identify though as Black Americans because the color of their skin. Doesn't matter. I mean, people look at my grandkids and they'll think, oh, you're Black. Well, they are Black. But they do know their culture, as being Italians. So.
Sweet. What is something that you are most proudest of?
I'm very proud of my two girls. And one of the reasons I'm proud of them, they're both professionals. They graduated from college. That was number one for me. I graduated from college first in my family. And that was nothing that they can do. They knew they were going to graduate from college, and they did. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the professionals. I'm proud of being who I am. My history goes back a long way. I share it. I'm not scared of it. I got 35 years of sobriety in September of this year. So I'm very excited about that. And people said, that's a long time. Well, yes, it is, but I made a choice. And that choice was my kids come first. And so I had to make a decision. That decision was to stop drinking. And I did. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that.
See, there you go. See, that question did bring something else besides your daughters.
Yes.
What are some challenges that you have encountered that you feel may have shaped who you are, or maybe made you weary, and what were they?
I think what shaped how I am was that I was a single mom. I was married to their dad, and then I got a divorce, and so I was a single mom for a long time. And it was hard. I was working, I was going to school to finish my degree, and then my graduate degree. And raising them as a single mom was hard, but it was worth it. I had good bosses that supported me, which back in the 70s, 80s, that didn't exist. But I had two really good mentors, I should say. And that shaped me for who I was. And then as I now get older, ShawnJ, you worry. I'm a Christian, and a lot of things are happening in this world. Do I pray that, I pray every day, and I pray that I was able to wake up this morning. I pray and I thank God that I'm able to wake up this morning, that He allowed me to be here one more day. That's every day. I pray for, the ones who've been sick, who's lost members. This girlfriend lost her brother and his wife. So that was devastating. So the virus has hit a lot of people. And so I'm just thankful that I'm waking up every day and I got my health. Yes, I've got some challenges as far as diabetes. So I really watch what I eat now. I watch, I exercise. I do all the things. I've been doing them, but I do them more, I'm very, am I concerned about my health? Sure, who wouldn't be? Because if the virus come hitting my way, I'm one of those preconditions. So, I've got age factor, diabetes, but only thing I can do is control me. So that's what I do. I try to eat well, like I said, exercise, go on a day by day, and hopefully, live a little longer so I can enjoy my great grandkids if they come about, things of that sort. Or if my grandsons decide they want to go to this NBA, be able to see them go to the NBA if that's what their goal is. And my granddaughter wants to play professional soccer. So we're from a sports family.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy, to be, be alive and be with them.
Yeah, there's appreciation there in your journey, and the fact that as a single parent, at the time which you were a single parent, times weren't always what we would hope them to have been in support wise, but you found some great mentors who did support you, which enabled you to be there for your family, which gave you that ability to model how to be there for your family. So that's a gift. Yes. And getting up every day is definitely another gift, because not everyone makes it to that then the next day.
Yes. I had my mother and father to help me along too. So, when I was a single parent, I did have the village.
Yes.
That some children who's raising kids now don't have the village. Right. We had a village in our neighborhood, that's for sure. I mean, I can remember a time when Rhonda was, a latchkey kid that had to be home while I was at work. And I remember the neighbor watching. Well, Rhonda didn't know what time Rhonda would get home off the bus. And so she kind of watched. And then one time, Rhonda decided she was going to go out and play while mother was at work. So I get a call from the neighbor, so Rhonda was shocked to know that, hey, the village was a neighborhood watch too. So, now we don't have that. It's too bad. We talk about that all the time, about having a village, because it's important. I think the connection of not just family, but neighbors. And that's where people separate, because there's just not that closeness anymore. Everybody's out for their own, instead of watching their own. And so I think that it's kind of hard for minorities now, because a lot of these kids are on their own. The parents work, they don't have the neighbors. Some don't even have the parents, the grandparents, or aunts and uncles surrounding them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that time, is that our neighbors, you never really, I think the feeling was the sense of security, because even if you didn't know your neighbor was watching, there was a feeling that you were being surrounded by this safety net, per se. Because I remember the neighbor by us, Joe Collins, he was a chief of police, and we never felt afraid in our neighborhood. It was because and he knew me, and he once said, "Boy, you cuss like a sailor." And I did. I had a mouth on me, but he knew who I was. And I think in that whole neighborhood, we had this ability to go, "Oh, so that's Miss Brooks' son." It was this feeling of the village, like you said, that we never really were afraid of each other. But if someone different came into the neighborhood, we instantly knew, it was like, whose car is that? It was like point on. So
it was point on. And also, when you remember new people move in the neighborhood, either you joined us or you are outcast. Now you need to join us because we're the ones who protect you, So the same thing with my kids. I mean, it's the same thing that they grew up in. So that's what makes it good.
Yes. Yeah. What is one of the greatest lessons you've learned so far? And what has it taught you about yourself?
Resilience, I guess you could say. I guess I learned about myself. I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life. As you well know, I lost my husband, remember, ShawnJ, 5 years ago. And now being a widow, I've learned that it's okay, because everybody's going to come to the end of the journey, and I used to talk to him toward the end that the chapter of his book is coming to the end. We began, the beginning, and then we came to the end, and I realized I didn't think I could live without him. We were together 30 years. It was a second marriage, I should say. But I remember at times while we were going through his journey toward the end, that I was stronger than I thought. I mean, you hear people they're going to fall apart. But my mother, how can I say this? We were raised in a family, ShawnJ, that knew death. And how I should say that is, when my cousin died in Vietnam in 1969, we went down to Little Rock, Arkansas, where my mother's sister was, and it was her son. And I remember Sydney and I was very close, who was my cousin. And when he died, he died a Marine, and they had his body in the house. Now, that's the first time I've ever been to a wake, ever. I mean, I'm being 16. I mean, but they had the body in the house, and that's where the wake was. And my mother was preparing us as we went down there that the body was not going to be in the funeral home, it was going to be in the home. And we're going like, what? Are you kidding me? That kind of thing. My mom saying, you need to get used to this. This is life. And then I got to a point where I got older. For some reason, my neighbor, his wife was passing, and he asked me to come over and talk to her. And I took the Bible, I went over there, and I started talking to her. And actually, she died right in the house when I was talking to her. And I think I was preparing for death then. because even when Harold was alive, my husband, there's a lot of time people died and they didn't die tragic. They died at home and we were there, or they would ask us to come. So I think God was preparing me for a journey that I was not even aware of, so that when Harold's time came, I wasn't scared. And I prepared my grandkids. They were able to see their great grandmother in the house. That's where she died. They went into her room and put rosaries because they're Catholics. No, they weren't scared. So when Harold transitioned here in the home, we were prepared. Yes, we were sad. The children came, they stayed for hours. I actually had to wake for 3 hours here at home. They were prepared, they weren't scared. And so I think for me, yes, I miss him, but I guess I'm resilient too. Life is life. And I don't think people think they're gonna live forever, and you don't. You know, and I prepare to the kids as I'm getting older that grandma's not gonna be here forever. So I'm just preparing you for your journey when it comes. And I think just being able to talk about that, it prepares, me, it prepares everybody. So, you know, do I think that I'm scared of things? I guess the answer is no. Most things don't scare me too much. I love thriller movies and scary movies, like like Candyman. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember the movie Candyman?
I didn't watch it, but I do remember it, yes.
Well, I watch it all by myself. I love watching Candyman. I love watching Alfred Hitchcock movies. I watch all those scary movies. And they said, "You really do, Mom?" I said, "I love them." Yeah. And I'll go, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I don't need to watch those. Life in general is scary enough, so I don't need to seek out that kind of stuff. No, thank you.
Oh, well, you're missing out.
Honey, I'm a black man in America.
You got a lot. Yeah, you got a lot to do. Yeah, exactly.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes, you do. Yes, you guys got a lot. Yeah.
What is something in your journey or even now that has annoyed you? And what have you learned about yourself from that annoyance?
What really annoys me is people that are late. I can't stand people that are late. It goes back to my mom, because she was always late for everything. Everything. You want to hear a story? I got a story on my mom. So we used to have a tendency to tell my mom, and when we were teenagers, "Mom, she was late for everything. PTA meetings, she was late." So her best friend, son died tragically in a car accident. And so Thelma asked my mom, "Rita," with my mother's name, "can you be on time?" Because Thelma knew my mother's late for everything. "So Rita, can you just be on time for my son's funeral?" "I'll be there. I'll be right there, Thelma, supporting you 100%. So as we were getting ready for the funeral, of course, she was still getting dressed, and we're going like, "Mom, you told Thelma you're going to be," "No, Mom, we're not going to be late for you. We're going to go on and be with Thelma." We get to the funeral. Mom's still not there because she could drive. So Thelma asked, "Where was your mother?" "Well, you know how Thelma just shook her head. She said, "For my own son's funeral, your mother's late, or did she didn't even make it?" So Mom still wasn't there. We're in the procession at a stoplight, not about a block from the funeral home. My mother had already got out of the car. She knew, because there was only one way to get to the funeral, to the burial cemetery. My mother was flagging us down at the light. That's how late she was. She flagged us down. She made it to the cemetery because she stopped the procession. So lateness to me is just, I can't, my twin sister took after my mom. I can't stand being late. But I guess as I get older, I try to have a little bit more patience. Even at work, they know that, hey, you need this meeting is at this time. And when I say the meeting's at this time, if you don't show up, I'm locking the door or I call the meeting over. I got things to do. So my managers know I don't play. And I try to have a little bit more patience of people who are tardy. But I don't think I'm going to get over that.
And I think you don't really need to. It depends on why they're late, right? So there are circumstances that can cause that they may be beyond your control, right? But if it's you getting up late, if it's you leaving late, if those items in which you can control are making you late, then no. But if you left 20 minutes before you need to leave, and then there's this traffic jam, right, or an accident, that's something you can't control, right? But it's also communicating, right? That you pick up the phone, you go, "Hey, I am on my way, but I am stuck in this traffic because there's an accident." Then at least you are in the loop.
But I agree with you. If I'm in the loop, if you tell me you're going to be late, I have no problem. I can always rearrange it. But when you know you walking in that door,
right?
And I mean, even to dinner on Sundays, if I say dinner's ready at 3 now, I know that they'll get here by 4. So I'm not worried. I really do have patience because they know my dinner's ready on time. But don't walk in that door at 6 o'clock and then, because my dinner's put up. All right. Either you call, I may have some leftovers and I may send them to you, but do not. Oh no. So anyway, that irks me, but I'm trying to have a little bit more patience as I get older, and I'm hoping I will. My kids don't think so. They said, "I think that's going to make you worse, Mom," but we'll see.
Because I think you kind of are where you are because with that particular item, that's something that you don't need to really change. Because no, I need you to be here on time. And to their point, as you get older, it gets worse because now you're going, life is too short to be waiting on you to show up. So get here on time or I'm gone. So yeah, it won't change. And that's okay.
Even my pastor said the same thing because when Harold passed, I said everything was be done on time. I'm not waiting for nobody, Pastor. If the family's not in line, let's go. To the point when I go to church on Sunday, if I know he's going to run over because I know it's a time limit, I'm gone. He knows I'll get up out of that chair and I'm gone. I'm just that kind of person. I mean, I said, there's a time and a place for everything. You don't have to go over, okay? Just get to the word. He's going like, oh my God. So sometimes I think his wife said he misses you because you be talking, you be looking at that clock. And I'm going like, that's why I go to early service because I know late service is just too long, too long. So I'm a timely person.
Yeah. And those who know and love you know that.
Oh, so yeah.
They know what to expect if they show up late, and they bear the consequences of that. And that's just, that's how it works. If you had the ability to change the world or an individual's impact on the world, who would that be or what would that be and why?
Wow, that's the question. Say that question. I thought about that one. You wouldn't be surprised at my answer, but repeat it.
So if you could change the world, you have an option, one of these. If you could change the world, what would that be and why? Or if you could change an individual's impact on the world, who would that be and why?
It would have to be back to slavery. If the history could go back and change slavery, either keep us where we came from, our ancestors, because we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be in the situation today. As people say, well, no, I don't know my ancestors. I know that, they came from way back. I mean, we did some history of I think we went back 1865. And my great did not ask to come here. He was forced to come here. even to my mother's mother, who was half Indian, Cherokee. I mean, she was raped. I mean, she married a man married her when she was 50, when she was 13, and that's when my mother was born. Out and we go back and look at back where our ancestries. I mean, if I could change that, I probably would. Because a lot of us don't know where we came from.
Right.
And that hurts us because, I mean, people can go back and really think of their history. I mean, ours stopped at a certain point, but there was no pictures. I mean, we did the ancestry. So that's that, but there's no pictures of our history, I want to say. And so for us, it's hard to know where you came from. And the only thing we can say is we came from here. We were born here. We're Americans. We're Black Americans, or we're Black, or we're Afro-Americans, but we belong here. And there's no reason why people treat us the way they do. So for me, if I could change where we came from, I think that would be the starting point of if it was fair for us to come over here the right way, then we wouldn't be where we are today, because we would be on the equal level as everybody else. And we're not. Everybody think we are, but we're not. We're accepted. I just think that if we could change where we came from and was able to come over to America on our own accord, it would be better. Now, one thing I want to say, and I hate to say this, of course, if Trump get back in, oh shit, all hell's gonna break loose. If I could change his mind, if I could have one of his kids marry a Black that produces 2 or more races, maybe he wouldn't be so damn racist.
I don't think it would change a thing.
It won't change a thing. But if his DNA, we can go in there and if the doctor can change his DNA, we can get in his body and change his DNA. That might work. I'm serious. You'd have to change his, because if that man gets in, I told the kids, I don't know if I can stand another 4 years with him. I'm just like, they had a segment on CNN about moving outside of the United States if he comes in another 4 years. Blacks are moving out of here. So I can't because I could afford to move to another country. It'd be cheaper, but I can't leave my grandkids and my kids. Yeah. But if I had to, really, to change the history would be going back to slavery. Changing that history.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks don't understand our true history in these United States. And so how we were brought over, how we were enslaved, how we were raped, killed, everything, and then set free into a world in which we didn't ask to be brought to. And then supposedly we're supposed to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. It's like, first, we need a pair of boots that you didn't give us because you stole us. Mm-hmm. And then the whole Constitution was made by people who owned
us. Yes.
So they weren't thinking about us when they wrote that piece of paper. So it's an amazing thing. You're the first person who's gone that far back. Like I've had people, I've asked that question, and a lot of folks change the world, but they don't go as far back as like changing a people's story. And that's like, that is like totally enlightening, because if we could change how we were brought over here, like if we weren't brought over here, like if we were just left alone, to our own lives,
right?
What would this United States look like? Because that would totally.
Oh, it'd change the DNA of the United States. It'd change the DNA. There's no doubt. we'd be on the same level as everybody. There'd be no discrimination. We would own things. I just read the story on the book of the town of what was it called? the history of the first Black city that was just, oh gosh,
I think it was Tulsa, right?
Tulsa, yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma. If anybody, oh, what is it? Oh God, I can't even think of the title. If any, if
Black
any,
Wall Street.
what is it?
Or the title of the book? You think about
Yeah,
title? Okay, I don't know the title.
I'll get the title. I really want to send it to you because if you read that story, if those people in Tulsa, Oklahoma were still alive, the history of that city that was a city of their own and how the whites came in and killed them all. But if they were able to survive, we would be in another place. We would be in another place.
Yeah.
And so when I go back, when I think about it, it's slavery. It's if we can go back and do the DNA of how we got here, we wouldn't be where we are today. Yeah. We just wouldn't.
The United States wouldn't be where it is today because we built a lot of that. So,
well, we would have our own. We would have our own continent.
Yeah,
we actually wouldn't have to come over here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if we hadn't been stolen and just left on the continent of Africa, because when you think about families were ripped apart from Africa, and those tribes lost doctors, they lost teachers, they lost people who would have made that group thrive. So if we hadn't been stolen, that would have thrived, and we would have built up Africa. Of course, as we all know, the colonizer would have still found and wanted, because that's what they do. They can't do on their own. They have to steal, rape, and pillage.
They have to steal and steal. I mean, that's their labor. I mean, that's our ancestors were the ones that made United States who it is today. And it's sad because, when we talk about Black men now, how they're being treated, everybody think they're equal. And if you look at these young Black men that are dying on the streets, by whites, you're thinking we're right back where we started. I mean, I used to work for King County Superior Court in HR, and I remember the judges, and I was talking about, talk about mentors. So this was one judge who was my mentor, and he kind of shaped me about and taught me a lot about the law, how the laws are created. And he was a white man, and he said to me, he said, "Sheila, the prisons are built. They're built for a reason, and that's built for slavery." And so when people vote, and he gave me a good example back in the 80s. He said, remember when there was coke and there was rock? And he said, remember when blacks got caught with rock cocaine, and then there was powder cocaine, which were whites. Whites could afford powder cocaine, but they got no time. But if they were caught with rock cocaine, which were blacks, then they would get 5 years automatic. Well, that law was passed by people. And he says, so when the people come up for sentencing, and if it was a Black man came up for sentencing and was caught with rock cocaine, he's automatically going to prison for 5 years. Compared to a white male who gets powder cocaine, no time. So the laws have changed where, now you look at our Black boys, they can't say anything to the police because they're going to jail or they're going to die. And most of the time, if they go to jail, they're going to go and serve some time, unless you got money that's going to keep your son or your daughter of color out. So I look at this world today, and we're right back to slavery. Yeah, we're right back. I mean, it's people. I keep telling people. I said sometimes people think they made it in life just because they have a job or stuff. But I said, when you stop by the police, you ain't got no job. They don't care.
They don't care. They don't see that.
No. So life is, anyway, tough.
So shifting into something a little bit more happy, what is something that brings you joy and why?
Well, I'm 70 years old now. So the joy of it is that I wake up in the morning and I say, I don't look 70. I might feel it sometime when I wake up in the morning, but most of the time I wake up with joy, happiness. So I feel comfortable in my skin. And so I'm, I'm pretty happy is the word. Um, I find joy in cooking, and I crochet. Um, but I put that up for a while. I quilt. I used to be a professional quilter on the side, which kept me happy. So I made a lot of quilts throughout the years. And kids got all their quilts. I'm hoping they keep their quilts. And I remember my grandmother used to make quilts, and I used to say, "What are you doing that for?" And I took that after her. But I just thought I would pick it up many years ago, which I did. And I wish I kept my grandmother's quilts, and I never did. I just that's under the bridge. But now that I make quilts, I told the kids, keep your quilts. I don't quilt anymore, but they've got some nice quilts, I have to say. Yeah. So that was joyful. I like cooking though. I do a lot of cooking. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make me a homemade pound cake. They just, oh, Mom, all that sugar. Ah, and I said like, oh, well, I have a taste for it. So I'm gonna make a pound cake tonight.
I can taste it already. Who is someone you admire and why?
Michelle Obama, besides my grandmother. And grandmother first. Grandmother I admire because I think she made me independent. I think my mother was very strong, but my grandma was very independent. So I think I got both those from them. Grandma would say what she want to say. And so now that I get older, I'm starting to say what I want to say. So I admire my grandmother for that and her ability to be she was very creative and very into crafts. So I picked that up. My sister said, you picked that right up from grandma. So I'm very in sewing, craft, that kind of stuff, cooking. So I picked that up from her. And so I'm really happy. Michelle Obama is just an inspirational person. She's kind of like my grandmother. She says what she want to say. And now that she's out of the White House, she's saying what she want to say. And she's a very strong woman. And I appreciate her. When I read Becoming, it just made me more appreciative of her and the struggle she went through before she married Obama. And then, while she became the first lady, she was ridiculed in a way by white women, white folks, and knowing that she wanted to say something, but she just couldn't say a lot. But I think when her journey of being a first lady, she held it with grace and a lot of prayer. But she showed that in the White House, this thing she did and left a legacy. Yeah. And no one could take that from her of being the first Black lady in the White House. Because as she used to say, remember, my slaves were my mother. I mean, our ancestors built this place. So she made it very clear to me that being as strong as they are, anybody can do what she did. Anybody can be. Now, these young kids that are looking up at her, you can be anything you want to do. So for her, I strongly give her kudos all the time.
What would you like to be remembered for by those who know and love you?
I guess I want to be remembered as a good mother, a wonderful spoiled grandmother, could spoil my grandkids. From my friends, that I'm always there for them. I was there for them. I think they're going to miss me because I was telling Kelly about 2 weeks ago, I have so many glasses, ShawnJ. I mean, glassware.
Yes.
I've got glasses up the yang. I mean, my kids said, Mom, how many glasses are you gonna? So I always said to her, if something happens, make sure they wear a pair of my glasses at my funeral. Okay, I got that many. So that she's going like, Mom, you're crazy. So I guess That, I guess, in a way, I think for me, I like to dress. So I would hope they remember me as impeccable dresser. Actually, I got rid of clothes because since the pandemic, I'm working from home. So I just realized I had too many clothes. And I actually give a lot of stuff to the women's shelter. So when I brought all those, and I give them something every time I get rid of clothes, I always take it to the women's shelter because I always want them to look impeccable. And I want to be remembered about that of giving. Um, and, you know, I hope my memory be lasted forever. Just like my parents, my grandmother, my mother, you know, I can still think about them. And so I'm hoping the same with me.
It's a legacy, and it's really important. It's what you leave behind in others. It's that which I hear you saying, that you want to be remembered for seeing folks, being there for folks, and being just being, which is a
Right.
wonderful gift.
And the Sunday dinners,
Yes.
the carry on and Sunday dinners. Yeah, I want to be remembered for that. So, and the conversations we had around the table about that. I want them to laugh and remember the stories. Hmm.
Traditions.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
I regret probably being married, the first marriage, but it produced it produced the kids so I can maybe that not the kids. Um, Maybe spending too much money, but I probably could have done better on my finances. You know, 2008 was the worst year for me because the 401 tanked. It just tanked. And I remember my first layoff, and that was kind of devastating. But I picked myself back up and, you know, got my HR consultant license to continue on until I was able to get a job. Um, so I probably could have done better with my finance, money. Um, I think everybody could have done that, but maybe that's probably a little bit I regret in life.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is your only true regret is your first marriage, but not the outcome
That's good.
from that
That's good.
marriage.
But I got two beautiful kids.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Two
yeah.
beautiful, strong Black women who are taken after their mother and their ancestors.
Yes,
Good
yeah,
for them. So yeah.
yeah, yep.
Anything else you want to share with the world?
No, I just glad that I was able to talk to you again, and hopefully after this pandemic, we can go on a trip. Other than that, I can't complain. I'm still feeling fabulous. You see, did you see me with my hair? Did I tell you about my hair shaved down?
Yeah.
So I ended up not knowing I had alopecia. And some women have, or some people have alopecia. So I didn't know. I was thinning and I couldn't figure this out. So I went to a hair specialist. And so she said, well, Sheila, you're losing hair, you got alopecia. So I wore wigs for a while. And then one day I decided I'm done. I was done with wigs. I still wear my scarves because I still do my African scarves, but I was done with fake hair. So I decided I was going to cut it off. So I went to my niece and not knowing what I had underneath. I mean, I still had hair a little bit. And so I just said, cut it off. I mean, shave it off. And she said, are you sure? I said, shave it off. So about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago in May, I shaved it off and I don't even want to look at it. I don't even look at wigs. I don't. So I do it myself and I do a very good job. And I'm happy. And some women who still are covering actually have called me up and said, gee, you look good. And I said, well, it's all about who you are. You got to feel comfortable in your own skin. And I have been through that journey. And I figured this is my end of my road of the journey of hair. And so I accessorize, I wear makeup. You see, I do everything.
Well, and when you did that, I was like, yes, queen, because you look flawlessly fabulous.
Thank you.
Because your head is perfect. And
that's the number one thing they always said. You got a perfect head. Why do I hear that all the time?
Because trust me, because I've seen the bald heads, and it's like, and no, but when you did it, I was like, yes. And then like your ears and then the earrings is like, yeah, it's because it doesn't work for everyone, and I think we have to find what works for us. So like it may be full bald, it may be partial bald, it may be short hair. You know, I think we have to forget our hair isn't our crown. Our crown is just it's there. No matter if you got hair or not, you always wear your crown. So and you wearing your crown.
Thank you.
Splendidly.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Well, that's it. That's me.
That's you. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today underneath the shade tree. And my guest today is Miss Sheila. And to everyone else, stay fierce, stay fabulous, stay focused. Catch you all later.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so for joining us underneath the shade tree. If you enjoyed the show, please click like and subscribe, and be sure to join us next time. And remember, every day above ground is a gift. So let's do our best to make it matter with grace, courage, and no regrets. Now go be fantabulously fierce.